We are currently docked in St. John's, Antigua. We have just finished breakfast and now I'm out on the balcony. And this P&O cruise ship is coming right beside us. Today we are doing another tour through Shore Excursions group. I know that we're going to Nelson's Dockyard, and then I think we're doing something that has the name Shirley in it. I really don't remember. And then we're also going to a beach that's included in the tour, and we're gonna get off in about 45 minutes, walk around a little bit, and then go to our tour.
You've heard that name before. Yes, original Falmouth up in England, one in Jamaica, two in America, one in Canada. So wherever the English settled, they named somewhere Falmouth. This is Antigua's Falmouth. When they colonized this island, here's where they settled. So you can say, so you notice the island is switched around. Okay, where your ship is used to be the countryside and this was the town. But when they put the port in down there, cargo port, everything switched around. So, this was the first town. If you could come in just 2 minutes. I don't have the mic. This is Fort Blockhouse. The blockhouse is that little house out there. When you're walking around, you're going to see her. It's a powder magazine. It's where they store their ammunition. Remember, the ammunition in those days was gunpowder. They had to build somewhere to keep the gunpowder cool, because if they left it out in the open, you know what was going to happen. A couple of weeks. But they actually built this ridge as a lookout point. They were looking out for the harbor from up here. Falmouth is way over where you see all the yachts. And the English harbor on Nelson's Dockyard is where you see that cluster of grey roofs down there. Now we're going to be going down there. You're going to meet with a guide, so I'm not going to say too much. Only to say that you see the body of water in the middle? It looks like it's totally surrounded by land, doesn't it? No, down by the grey roofs, there's a narrow entrance around the curve. And that's why the English chose there to put their naval base back then. Because from outside it looks like nothing's happening in there. Now it's guarded by two forts, one in ruin on this side, one peninsula sticking out on the other. One is Fort Berkeley and Fort Charlotte, and they had a long chain from either side. And when an enemy ship would try to make its way in, they would raise the chain and rip the bottom out of the ships. So there are many shipwrecks down there. Now in order to get from one side to the other, you cannot go through. You have to come around that body of land. It's said to look like an alligator. So you go around the alligator to get to the other side. Now they use the harbor for two purposes. One, as a hurricane shelter. Hurricanes came in back then as they do today, and all the ships would make their way into the middle there and be safe from the big waves that come along when there's a hurricane. They also use it as a careening station. Careening is what you call dry dock. Yeah, to dry dock a boat today, you know, you can lift it out the water, do the repairs, put it back in. No more than 6 months. Back then, they didn't have the technology to lift the boats out of the water. So what they did was to take everything out of the boat to make it as light as possible. Then they would tilt it on one side, do the work and the repairs. Then they would have to turn it around to do the other side. It took 6 months. That's because the guys were always drunk. Okay? We're going to go down there and you're going to find out. Now, you're looking out there and you're thinking, this is beautiful. It's lovely. It's on a postcard. This was the most hated place to be in the world. England could not find men to come out. Ooh, it's going to rain.
I can see it coming out.
You can take your pictures. I'll tell you everything back on the bus.
Nelson's Dockyard is an old 18th century naval base converted into a national park. Almost all the bricks that you're seeing on the inside came from London. Now you might be saying that's a long distance to carry a few bricks back in the day, but they were all brought in at the bottom of ships as ballast to stop the ship from tossing and turning, and they were traded for what we call Caribbean gold, sugar and rum, because the dockyard back in the day had a job. They would take their ship, dock it alongside, and tie ropes from the mast of the ship to each one of these capstans and turn them all in one direction, pulling their ship down on its side.
We went to Shirley Heights today and Nelson's Dockyard. I would have liked more time at Nelson's Dockyard, but that was all the tour allowed for. And then we were going to go to the beach, and we got there. But before we got to the beach, the lady was like, don't eat any fruit you see because it's all very poisonous. And it's been raining a lot today. And so she was like, there's these crab apples, or these trees that have fruit on it that look like crab apples. And don't eat those because those are very poisonous. But she was also like, don't even sit under a tree if it's raining because the juices that come out of the fruit when it rains will like they'll burn your skin kind of thing. And so I walked out of the vehicle to get to the beach, and I'm looking and I'm like, I don't know if this is a crab apple tree, so I was like, I don't know. And so then my dad was like, well, that's definitely not one that would grow crab apple like things. So we walk over to that tree. I get the towel out of the backpack. I set the towel on the ground, and I sit on the ground, and I'm sitting on the ground for about 5 seconds, and then it starts pouring rain. So we all went and hid under a little beach tiki hut thing, and then all of us just started going back to the bus. And I'm not disappointed. I'm not a big beach person anyways. So I'm now back on the ship, and there are some afternoon activities I'd like to do. And I was going to get some free Wi-Fi in the port, but it also started pouring there. So then I just walked with a towel over my head back to the ship. And so now I'm just going to enjoy the rest of the afternoon on the ship. Atrium, and there was a crossword challenge there. I didn't do that. I just kept reading my book by Kristen Hanna. And then there was diamond art painting. It was a lotus. I finished that. It was a really nice flower, and I met some ladies from San Juan. And then after that, there was visual trivia of where in the world this landmark is. There were places like Rio and Venice and Dubai and Italy and stuff like that. I got 7 out of 20 right, and for my normal trivia, I feel like that's a pretty good number for me to get right. And now I'm just gonna sit here and continue to read my book. So after supper, we went to buy the photo spot package, which is where you can always get your pictures when you get off in port. And then I returned my book to the library. I finished reading The Women by Kristen Hanna. I'm probably going to start Cloud Cuckoo Land tomorrow. And then after that, I got a picture of my eye, and she's gonna zoom in up close, and it's gonna be this really neat thing. And then after that, I went and played Bamboozled, not the Jelly Bean game, but it was more of a tabletop escape game. And I played it with 4 couples from I think they were from Mississippi. That was really fun. We didn't win, but we unlocked 4 of the 6 locks. And after that, then I went and played Deal or No Deal, and I didn't win anything there. And now I'm going back to our room to go to bed. So I will see you tomorrow in Barbados.